So, Kraven the Hunter. Sony Pictures CEO admits Kraven the Hunter had worst launch in his tenure. Doesn't understand why film bombed. I have a few ideas. You ready for this? Might be controversial. Maybe it's because it's a movie that no one was asking for, based on a character that people really don't seem to care a whole lot about. Sure, there are Kraven the Hunter fans, but that's usually when he's put against people like Spider-Man or Wolverine. No one cares about this guy if it's a standalone movie. If he's just by himself and he's doing things, no one cares. No one cares. Madam Web is another, you know, no one cares about that crap. Now, if he was in the movie and Spider-Man was there, or maybe. But people are also tired of these, pretty much tired of Marvel in general, because Marvel just keeps producing crap after crap after crap after crap after crap. It's like Star Wars. Both are owned by Disney now, so you can see why they're all crap. But, you know, I'm sure there is a reason for this confounding conundrum, this conundrum of why people don't want to see the movie. Sony Pictures CEO Tony Vinciquerra admitted that Kraven Hunter had the worst launch at the box office in his entire tenure as CEO. He also claimed he doesn't understand why it bombed because the film is not a bad film. Well, of course, that sounds exactly like the kind of thing you'd expect. It's not a bad film. No, it's just a movie that no one really wanted. If people aren't interested in it, they're not going to go see it. Uh, Speaking with Los Angeles Times, Samantha Masunaga, the Naga. Uh-oh, we're in trouble. Sakara was asked, "How do you feel about the performance of the film studio during your tenure?" He replied, "Poop. We've had mostly very, very good results." Are we living on the same planet here? I'm pretty sure he's not living in the same reality that we're all living in. Unfortunately, Kraven the Hunter that we launched last week and my last film launch is probably the worst launch we had in the 7.5 years. So that didn't work out very well, which I still don't understand because the film is not a bad film. Again, it's just a film that no one really wanted to see because if it's just Kraven the Hunter and that's it. I mean, I think I saw the Rhino in there in some pictures or whatever, but these are all characters that people don't get, standalone characters, in their own movie. No one cares about them. It's like Venom. You know, I think the first one did well, but then they kind of stuck. Venom is an awesome character, but we don't want to really see Venom in his own standalone thing. We want him fighting Spider-Man. So Kraven, same thing. We don't care about him in a standalone movie. We want to see him fighting Spider-Man. But we've been very successful. We beat our budgets every year. Every year I've been here, even through strikes and COVID, and max bonuses several of the years for all the employees. It was a good run, and the film studio was a big part of it. Vizcarra was then pressed about both Madam Web and Kraven the Hunter. In his response, he blamed the media for Madam Web's failure. Let's just touch on Madam Web for a moment. Madam Web underperformed in the theaters because of the press just crucified it. It was not a. See, he says the same thing. It was a bad film. It was. Of course, the person who's in charge of everything, of course, they're going to say, oh, it wasn't a bad film. It was not a bad film, and it did great on Netflix. Maybe because people didn't have to waste their money on that movie specifically. It's like, well, I already have Netflix. Sure, let me just watch it when I don't actually have to pay for it. I'm paying for Netflix, not for, Madam Web. So, I mean, the fact that it just shows how confident they actually are in these. Well, it did great on Netflix. Most things do better on Netflix because you're not paying directly for that movie. You know, you're flipping through and you're like, Madam Web, huh? I heard it was pretty bad. So the fact that he's like, oh, you're great on Netflix. Underperforming theaters because for some reason the press decided that they didn't want us making these films out of Kraven, Madam Web, and the critics just destroyed them. They also did it with Venom, but the audience loved Venom. Maybe the first one, and made Venom a massive hit. They are not terrible films. Again, he's just trying to embolden them. Even if they're bad, he's like, oh, they're not terrible. Of course you're going to say they're not terrible. Of course you're not going to say they're terrible. They were just destroyed by the critics and the press for some reason. Despite blaming the media for the film's failures, he did admit that he needs to rethink the film strategy. I do think that we need to rethink it just because it's snake bitten. If we put another one out, it's going to get destroyed no matter how good or bad it is. Or instead of making it on, taking characters that no one cares about, like Madam Web or Kraven, how about using maybe some of the bigger villains, the ones that people actually know? Because unless you're aware of the comics and all that, most normal people don't know who the hell Kraven the Hunter or Madam Web are. They don't even know those characters. You want to think people they do know? Doc Ock, the Lizard, well, maybe not Lizard, but Green Goblin, Venom, Carnage. Those are characters that people know of. So if you're trying to appeal to a broader audience, use characters that people know. Again, unless you're into the comics and you're not going to know who Madam Web is. You're not going to know who Kraven the Hunter is. So Kraven the Hunter had an opening domestic weekend. Of just about to say 100 million. No, 11 million. Since then, it's grossed a total of 18.4 million domestically, and and another 25.4 million internationally for a global gross of 43.8 million. The film posted its worst daily return in Christmas Eve with just 500,000 domestically. As for Madam Web, the film had a domestic opening of 23.5. It went on to gross 43.8, 56.4 million internationally for a total gross of 100.2 million. Box office analyst OMB Reviews recently noted how poorly Kraven the Hunter has done. He predicts the film will only achieve between 61 to 80 and 85 million total. Right now, projected losses are around 128 to 113 million, which means more likely 150-ish million in losses. Currently at 145 million in losses, it's going to be one of the biggest losers of the year. Sonic 3 flies as Mufasa flops. Dude, no one cares about the MCU DCU films anymore. No one is going to watch 15 plus films to catch up on this catch up to this trash, and films are shit anyways. The original superhero films were all self-contained. That's why they were successful. People used to complain about there being way too many zombie, vampire, werewolf films. And looking back, those films were way better than the trash we have now. Yeah, it's like and again, they're taking characters that normal people don't really know about. So it may attract like the comic fans who know the characters, but normal people are gonna be like, huh, Kraven the Hunter. Who the hell is that? So by taking characters that most people don't know, you're limiting the appeal of the character. If they were to make a standalone, Doc Ock movie or Green Goblin movie, I mean, Venom worked out the first time, but it seems like each Venom movie, people were like, do we need to keep making these movies? But the first one did well. I think it was more because, Spider-Man 3, we were supposed to get Venom. But instead, he just kind of, you know, he wasn't Venom. He's just, oh yeah. And it's just, so when we got Venom, it's like, oh, this is the character we wanted. In Spider-Man 3, Tobey Maguire, instead we get emo Peter, bully Maguire, and we were supposed to get Venom. We got Sandman, which was cool, with Flint, but we wanted Venom. That's what they were hyping up for. This, oh my god, Venom. And then, so that's why the first one did so well. But then it's like, okay, the novelty's kind of run out here. And so if we were to have like maybe like a standalone Doc Ock movie, or Green Goblin, or um some other character from Marvel that people know about, it's that's what has the drawing power. Characters people know. If you were to make look like a, I don't know, like Squirrel Girl into a movie, chances are it's gonna flop because people are gonna be like, who the hell is Squirrel Girl? So, but hey, that's just a theory. A film theory. And cut. No. But those are just my opinions. Like an asshole, everyone's got one. Um, so if you agree with it, great. If you don't, great. It's just my personal opinion that you don't take, if you want to be successful, you don't take characters that people really don't know. So, anyway, modern day. But that's gonna do it. That's gonna do it for me. You guys know the drill. I'll see you guys later. Bye, guys.